Happy Camper Radio, episode 002. Come on, let's go camping. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Happy Camper Radio. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper, and you, my friends, can be one too. Wow, this has been a crazy week, folks. No sooner do I get episode number 1 recorded and posted online, the cold and the flu season moves in, and I'm telling you, it nailed me with vengeance. I was having a really, really rough week. Of course, I did exactly what I was expected to do. I stayed holed up there in my sleeping bag. I drank plenty of fluids, got lots of rest, and it didn't take long before I was back behind the microphone again. I'll tell you what, the cold and the flu season, it is the worst enemy for anybody who works behind a microphone. 404-537-2267 is our phone number here at the studio. Feel free to give us a call anytime, day or night. Leave us your name, where you're calling from, and include your camping question in your voicemail. And we'll do what we need to do on our end here and get you on an upcoming episode and answer your camping question for you. Let's everybody grab their camping chair and pull up next to the campfire. I'm going to reach over here and get this campfire lit. The firewood is stacked. It is well seasoned. It is time now to sit back, let the stress of everyday life roll off your shoulders, and we're going to talk camping because that's what we do best here. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. This is the Happy Camper Radio Show. Now, I've got some very exciting news that I want to share with each and every one of you. While I was down and out this week, I am very, very happy to announce that the Happy Camper Radio Show can now be found on the BlackBerry, Podbean, and Stitcher podcast directories. Yes. Oh, that is so exciting. Thank you. Thank you. And you know something? That means we are now going to reach out to a much broader audience. And that also means we're going to have more folks here at the campsite. So we always got room for more at our campsite here, folks. So make sure you have some room here for other guests that may be joining us here in the not too distant future. Now, I also have something I had an opportunity to research this past week, and I want to go ahead and share this with you because I'm getting kind of excited about this. There is an event coming up here on Saturday, June the 22nd, 2013, and if you're a young family that is just starting out into the world of camping, this information is for you especially. Coming up on Saturday the 22nd is the Great American Backyard Campout. Yes. This is going to be an exciting event, and you better believe I am going to be camping that day myself in my very own backyard and joining thousands and thousands of great people who are taking the time to enjoy this one night out, weather permitting, of course, and I'll be camping right out there in my very own backyard, and you can do that also. Now, let's just say you don't have a backyard or you don't have that convenience. Let's say you live in an apartment complex or a condominium. Keep in mind there are many, many great camping destinations, and some of them may be just around the corner from your home. Don't overlook some of the public and private campgrounds that are out there. Of course, you can gather together with friends and camp out maybe in one of their backyards. Make it a family thing, or, get a bunch of friends together. Now, I've got a link to the Great American Backyard Campout on our website. All you got to do is go to www.happycamperradio.com. At the top of the page, click on Skip's Corner, and we've added a new page called Links. Click on that page, and the very first link that you will find on that page is to the Great American Backyard Campout. Now, the Great American Backyard Campout is being sponsored by the National Wildlife Federation, and you can register right online. You can register as an individual, and I believe you can also register as a group too, and you can get together with friends to do this. Now, they're also doing a fundraiser here. If you want to get together and participate in this event, you can go ahead and make a one-time contribution. You can also, and I'm kind of looking at it right now here on our website, you can go ahead and maybe get a group sponsor to go ahead and sponsor you for this. Now, where is the money you are raising going to go? 80 cents out of every dollar you raise goes to address programs that address the problems associated with indoor childhood and the health risks associated with them. Folks, let's face facts here, all right? Most kids today, in this day and age we're growing up in, the electronic age, the technology age, and again, this is a good thing. I'm not going to knock that, but the problem is a lot of our kids today are spending more time with their electronic devices and less time away from the elements of nature that are out there that are meant for us to enjoy. All right, you can go ahead and introduce your children to the backyard camp out. You can introduce them to nature by participating in this program. Again, registration is free. You don't have to participate in the fundraiser. It is a good cause. And if you want to go ahead and read more about it, check out the link on our website at www.happycamperradio.com. It's the Great American Backyard Campout, and we'll be talking about that a little more as time progresses. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about tents. Now, if you're a first-time camper, if you're a single camper, let's just say you're a young family who is venturing out for the first time, well, this program you especially want to pay attention to, because we're going to talk about your options that you have available to you when you go to buy that tent. In most cases, when people purchase a tent, it is their very, very first investment into the world of camping. Maybe you're a seasoned camper who has camped for several years and it's time to replace your existing tent. Maybe you want to upgrade to something a little bit bigger. We'll talk about that here today on the show. But right now, parents with young kids, let me run this by you here and see if this sounds familiar, all right? You're at home, it's a Friday night, and typically on Friday nights, you allow your children to stay up a little later than normal. But eventually, you go ahead and put them to bed, you tuck them in, you kiss them goodnight, and you come back a couple hours later to check on them before it's time for you to check in for the night. You expect to see your children snuggled right under the blankets, sound asleep. However, when you open the door, you are suddenly surprised by what you see. The bed sheets on your bed are in total disarray, all right, on your child's bed, that is. Half the sheet is hanging off the bed. Maybe one corner is tucked away in a dresser drawer. The other one might be tied onto a bedpost on the other side of the room. And right there under your child's makeshift tent is your child sound asleep, wrapped up in a blanket, his or her head on a pillow, and hugging on one of his or her favorite stuffed animals. Now, I am not a psychologist by any means, but what I believe you are seeing here, folks, is the camping instinct that exists in your children. Have you ever done this yourself, going back into your childhood years? I know I have, and I'm sure my family has done so also. This would be an excellent opportunity to begin making your plans to introduce your children and yourself to the great outdoors. Now, I can remember back in the days, and I'm going to go back maybe 30 or 40 years now. This is a long, long time ago. I remember the very first tent that my family went out and purchased. I can also remember my very first outdoor experience, sleeping under the stars. Dad asked me one weekend if I would like to go sleeping outside. And I said, sure. Now, we didn't go out in the backyard. That's where we slept, of course. But we didn't set up a tent. We didn't bring all this fancy gear out there with us. What we very simply did is roll the sleeping bags out. It was a beautiful summer night. And we laid there, looked up at the stars. The crickets were out in motion. You could hear them. You could hear the birds chirping. And it was a great, great outdoor experience. And I have been sleeping outdoors ever since. Now, getting back to our family's first tent. That tent was a monster compared to tents that you can buy today. This tent was very big. It was very bulky. It was very difficult to store. It had these large aluminum tent posts. There were 4 walls, a front door on it, plenty of windows, a roof, a flooring. The flooring was there as well. And this particular tent required at least 2 adults to move it. That means moving it from the house to the car, from the car to the campsite, and vice versa. And it took a long time to set up. It was big, it was bulky, and it was made of this very heavy canvas material. Now, back in those days, I was the oldest of 5 children. And for the most part, I was the one who usually got in trouble for anything that my brothers and sisters did, whether it was at home or out there on a campground. Of course, I was an angel in comparison. Now, of course, you know, I'm just kidding here. Okay, I'm sure I had my moments too. But anyway, I can remember the times that we went out and enjoyed the times we spent in that tent. That tent accommodated all 7 of us, and there was plenty of room to move around. But again, it was big, it was bulky. Tents aren't made that way today, folks. There are many good makes, models, and sizes of tents that you can go buy. Now, where can you buy tents? There's a lot of places. Depending upon where you live, you might have a department store that is not too far away from home. If you live near a shopping mall, you may have a store that specializes in outdoor camping supplies. Of course, you can find some great deals online as well. But where you purchase your tent, one of the very, very most important things you want to do is encourage and involve each and every member of your family in making the choice of what tent you want to buy. Now, I am not going to endorse any particular store. I'm not going to endorse any particular make and model of tent. I have been doing this for quite some time, and I can tell you this much. Today, there are a lot of makes and models out there, and for the most part, just about every tent that you're going to come across is made of good quality material and good workmanship. It's deciding what size tent you want, what size make and model, what size shape, what kind of color tent do you want. Those are going to be your difficult choices. Now, if you by chance go to a department store and you walk down the aisle, you immediately are going to see names that are synonymous with camping. You don't necessarily have to buy a name brand tent. I can walk down an aisle in the store today and see names attached to camping equipment I've never seen before. The problem with me today is if I go in the store to buy something from the camping supply aisle, it may be something I need, and I also end up buying something that I see that I say, wow, this would be great to have. And I buy that too. My camping supply, my camping box is just loaded with all kind of different gadgets and gizmos and things like that. But you know something? That's what I do. It's what I really, really enjoy doing. And I take all of this with me when I go out to enjoy a weekend of camping or a week-long trip somewhere, whether I use it or not. Okay? But anyway, if you happen to go into a store and take a look at some of the products that are out there, it's very, very important that you pay very careful attention to what is on the box. Now, if you have an opportunity to buy your tent at a place that specializes in camping equipment, I say that's probably where you should buy your tent. And I want to tell you why. Because in a lot of these places, they have huge, monstrous showrooms. And most likely when you go in there, especially this time of year, when tents really are on sale and they've got a big selection out there, chances are you're going to find all of those tents on the showroom floor already set up. And you're going to have an opportunity to look at them. You're going to have an opportunity to see how they're put together. Your kids are going to go wild. And I think the store management expects you that to happen. And their kids are going to be inside the tent. They're going to be rolling around. They're going to be having all kind of fun. But more important, it's going to give you an opportunity to see what tent is going to be suitable and what size is the right size tent for your family. So if you have an opportunity to buy your tent at a store that specializes in camping equipment, most likely that's exactly what you're going to want to do. 404-537-2267 is our phone number here at the studio. Give us a call right now with your camping question, and we'll get you on an upcoming episode and answer your question for you here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Today we're talking about tents and what tent you should buy, what tent you might want to consider for your very upcoming camping adventure. Now, another thing you want to think over too, if you decide to buy your tent online, you're going to find a lot of great deals out there. If you have any experiences with buying online, some of the things you want to watch out for too is I would, first of all, if it were me, I would find a company out there that specializes, again, in outdoor camping equipment and make your purchase there. But be very careful. Check on what their exchange policy is. Find out what the return policy is, the refund policy, because if you end up getting a product that you're not happy with, you want to find out what you can do to quickly return that at little inconvenience or expense to you. All right. But again, you know, if you have a department store you can go in and buy, just check out some of the makes, models, and sizes that are available and read very, very carefully what is on the side of the box. Read all of it. Case in point, one of the things you don't want to do when you go to buy a tent, let's say you're a family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 kids. You walk in there, you lay your eyes on this picture on the side of a box. It is an ideal tent. It is everybody's favorite color. This is the tent I want. You go ahead, check it out at the checkout line. You go on home, you set it up. It's designed to sleep 4 people, and you come to find out that tent is not the size you expected. If you look on the side of the box, in most cases, you're going to see a display of what it would be like for 4 people to sleep inside that tent. What you're going to find is 4 people sleeping like sardines in a can. There is going to be room for 4 bodies, 4 sleeping bags, and nothing else but. Now, I don't know about you, but back in the days when my kids were with me and my wife was with me and we went out camping, I had to make sure I had plenty of room because in the middle of the night, I do a lot of tossing and turning. The last thing you're going to want to do is reach over there, roll over in the middle of the night with your right elbow or your left elbow and elbow your child in the head. If you do that and your wife gets nailed in the head, I can promise you, you're going to get a receipt. And I'm not talking a paper receipt either, all right? So you want to make sure that you have a tent with a lot of room on the inside. If you go to our website, happycamperradio.com right now, and you click on the tab that says Camping Pics, I have some photographs in there of a camping trip that I went on with some very, very good friends back in the fall of 2012. If you click on that, one of the very first pictures you're going to see come up on the screen is a blue tent that has a cot on the inside. It has a sleeping bag and a pillow, a small table, and I believe over in the left-hand side, left-hand lower corner, there's going to be a small space heater. Keep in mind, this was the fall of 2012. We were in the North Georgia mountains, and it was kind of chilly up there, so you're going to want to have that little extra warmth there in your tent at nighttime. That tent was brand new out of the box. That's my tent. That tent just replaced the tent that I had for 16 years. Your camping equipment is going to last you a very, very long time, provided you take care of your tent. Now, that particular tent it's designed to sleep 6 people, but it is only me. And you can see the room I have inside that tent. Now, what you can't see on the inside off to the right-hand side behind that wall is where I keep my my change of clothes, my knapsack, a change of shoes, and what have you, things that I bring along with me. You're going to want that space also for you and your family when you buy a tent. So bottom line, what I'm saying here, folks, is if you go out and buy a tent and you've got 4 people in your family, I would encourage you to possibly consider a tent that sleeps maybe 8 people. Take good care of your tent too. When you buy it for the first time, now this tent that I have, to give you an idea what the tents cost, this particular tent cost me a little under $100. Now, $100 may be a lot of money to some people, but keep this in mind. This is a one-time investment, and it's going to last you. You are making an investment in your future here. You are making an investment in your children's future and your recreational future. So you take good care of your camp equipment, and trust me, folks, your camping equipment is going to take very, very good care of you. Now, this tent, like I say, was brand new right out of the box when this picture was taken. I hadn't slept in it at that time. This is brand new, like I say. Now, when I broke it out of the box, everything was right there, and I did take the time to read the manufacturer's recommendation in setting up that tent. And I followed it to the letter. And of course, I followed it to the letter when I took down that tent and packed it away, and it was time to go home. That tent stores very, very easily. It doesn't take up much room, unlike that big family tent that we had back about 30, 40 years ago. And I'll tell you this much too, if I had a young child, maybe 5 or 6 years old, after I got that tent all packed away, and I'm talking the tent posts and the tent stakes, the rain fly, everything that goes in there, I could hand that little knapsack to my young child and say, here, please put that in the car. And single-handedly, they could carry it on over there. That's how light these tents are. And they're very, very durable. They will last you a long time. Now, speaking of rain flies, let's talk about that for a moment. Most tents that you purchase these days come with a detachable rain fly. I never put the rain fly on the tent unless I see inclement weather moving in. Now, nobody, of course, wants to go camping when it rains. But I can tell you this, if you've done this for as long as I have, every now and then when you're out there, when you least expect it, a small patch of rain is going to come flying through your campground. Everything is going to get soaked for a moment. And if you live in the Southeast like I do, you can pretty much relate to what I'm talking about. I can't begin to tell you the number of times I have been out there and I looked at the forecast long before I went out, and everything was going to be fine. Everything was going to be nice, hot, and sunny. There was not going to be any bad weather at all. I get out there, and next thing you know, here comes a patch of rain. And I take this rain fly and I attach it on top of my tent, because that is going to protect your tent and the elements inside from nature. The tough part is after the rain moves out and the sun comes back out. It is hot. It is muggy. That is the worst moment of a camping trip, but it does happen from time to time, folks. All right. So there's going to be a detachable rain fly. I would go ahead and just set that off to the side, but keep it handy in the event you do have a little bit of rough weather while you're out there that moves in, and you want to go ahead and attach that on top. Now, if you were sleeping inside the tent at night and you don't have your rain fly on, in a lot of these tents, the way they're constructed, there's going to be a screen up on the very top. And if you were laying on the floor looking straight up in the air, you were going to look up through that screen into the sky, and you'll be able to see the trees and stars and everything that are up there. Great ventilation, but again, you want to make sure that your rain fly is attached in the event that some nasty weather happens to roll in. You can keep it off, like I say, for the most part, but just keep it handy, keep it close by, and they're very, very easy to attach and very, very easy to take off. Another thing you want to consider, too, when you buy a tent is a ground tarp. This, I would say, folks, is going to be mandatory if you want to increase the longevity of your camping equipment. Now, the ground tarp, when you buy one, and chances are you're going to be able to buy one wherever you purchase your tent, you want to buy a ground tarp that is going to exceed the dimensions of your tent, because you're going to lay that ground tarp down and you're going to assemble your tent on top of it. You're going to pull out the tent stakes. You're going to bring out your tent posts. You're going to slide them through the sleeves, and you're going to set everything up on top of this ground tarp. And that will protect your tent from the elements, especially in the early morning hours when you wake up and there's condensation on the ground. You don't need this on the bottom of your tent. You don't need this on the floor of the tent. It'll wear it out real quick. Now, also in your box, you're going to have some tent stakes. The tent stakes that are going to come with your tent are going to be about 6 inches in length. They're going to be, they're going to represent like a small little steel candy cane. Let's describe it as that. Should you stake out your tent every time you put your camping equipment up? Every time you put your tent up? I say yes. If you have the opportunity to do that, definitely stake out your tent. Now, you're going to need a hammer too. I had an old hammer sitting on my tool bench for the longest time that I didn't use, and I went ahead and found a new home for it. It is in my camping supply box, and that's where I keep it. It don't come out unless I am staking my tent. And of course, when it comes time to go home and I've got to pull those stakes out of the ground, I'll bring the hammer out for that purpose. I'm like the old Boy Scouts, and I believe in their motto, be prepared. And if you don't have an extra hammer laying around, they're not very, very expensive. Don't go to the hardware store and buy a huge, expensive carpenter's hammer. You don't need one of those. But, if you can pick up a cheap hammer somewhere, you're going to need that whenever you go camping to drive the tent stakes into the ground and also to pull them out. Now, I went ahead and purchased some tent stakes that are a little bit longer than the ones that came with the tent. And the reason being because a lot of times when I'm camping on national forest areas, the ground is going to be a lot softer. And these tent stakes that I purchased that are about, I want to say maybe 10 to 12 inches long, they're a little bit heavier. They're going to be able to hold your tent in place a whole lot more easier than the small ones that do come with your tent. Okay? So you want to go ahead and make sure that you have your tent stakes, you have your hammer. Also, keep in mind, too, that when you go to a public campground, say like if you go to any one of the recreation.gov sites, they may have a tent pad that you'll be setting up on. In some cases, the ground is going to be very, very hard, and it's going to be very difficult for you to drive a tent stake in the ground. If you run into those problems right there, you may want to avoid putting up a tent. You may want to avoid driving tent stakes in the ground, okay? So keep that in mind whenever you go to buy your camping equipment and your camping supplies. Definitely check them out. Find out what size is the right size for you and your family. Try to exceed the capacity of a tent versus the size of your family. If you've got 4 people in your family, try to get a tent that maybe has sleeps 6 to 8 people. Okay, the bigger the tent, the better. And again, you take good care of your camping equipment, and your camping equipment is going to take care of you. 404-537-2267 is our phone number here at the station. Give us a call with your camping questions. It's now time to take a look at our feature campground of the week. And this week, we visit Bandy Creek, Tennessee. It is a member of the recreation.gov family of campgrounds, and this, folks, is a great place to visit if you want to go camping this summer, you happen to live out this way, or if you're planning a trip somewhere down the road out this direction, you may want to stop by and consider Bandy Creek as your destination site. It is run by the National Park Service, and the park encompasses approximately 125,000 acres of ground, including rocky gorges and forested plateaus. Click on the facility map. You'll see that the campground is divided into 2 sections, one for tent camping, one for RVs. Click on any one of the sites and you'll get a full view of what they have to offer as far as amenities there. And you might want to choose a site that is close to a playground. They have a swimming pool. This camping ground operates all summer long, and it is a great place to visit, a great destination, Bandy Creek, Tennessee. It is our feature campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And don't forget, if you haven't already registered for an account with recreation.gov, you can do it right there on that page, and you can find a link to Bandy Creek on our homepage at happycamperradio.com. It is our feature campground of the week here on our show. And if you by chance have a campground that you would like us to feature in a future episode, definitely give us a call here at the studio or drop me an email, skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. That's about all the time I have for today's show, folks. I am so glad to be back. I feel a whole lot better. And every day that goes by is going to get better, too. Visit us on the web at www.happycamperradio.com. Check us out on Facebook. Like us there too, Happy Camper Radio. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, CampTalker. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And you, my friends, can be one too. You're listening to Happy Camper Radio.